So, Wolves versus West Ham. You might think just another Premier League game, right? Well, it's way more than that. This is a clash with a really deep and actually kind of surprising history. So, what's the real deal behind this matchup? Let's get into it and break down what makes this century old rivalry tick. Okay, right off the bat, the all time record tells a pretty clear story. I mean, look at this. They've met 75 times, and West Ham has the clear edge with 36 wins to Wolves' 25. That historical dominance immediately sets the stage for a classic underdog story. Wolves have always been chasing, trying to close that gap on their long-standing rivals. And to really get why that record looks the way it does, we've got to go back, way back. This isn't some new rivalry that just popped up in the Premier League era. Nope. These two clubs have been going at it for over 100 years, across pretty much every level of English football you can imagine. Get this, their story doesn't even start in the top league. It begins with an FA Cup game way back in 1910. From there, they bumped into each other in Division 2, they fought it out in the old First Division, and it's wild to think they didn't actually meet in the Premier League until 2009. You can literally see how the rivalry has grown and changed with each new generation. But rivalries aren't just numbers on a chart, are they? They're forged in the heat of those absolutely unforgettable games. It's the drama, the moments that fans talk about for years and years. So let's dive into some of the classic matches that really define the drama here. Okay, so let me ask you, do you remember this match? The one with just a ridiculous number of goals? For any fans who were actually there, it was an absolute roller coaster, and a perfect example of the kind of beautiful chaos this fixture can cook up. And here's why that game was so insane. We're talking about a championship clash back in 2005, and it was pure end-to-end stuff. First, Kenny Miller puts Wolves up. Then, Bobby Zamora hits back for West Ham. Miller's not done. He scores again for Wolves, but just 3 minutes later, Zamora equalizes again. The momentum swings were just relentless until Paul Ince and Carl Court finally put the game away for Wolves, a wild 4-2 win. But, a classic game isn't always a high-scoring thriller. Sometimes it's about a huge personal moment, like in a 2-2 draw back in 1977, when the Wolves legend John Richards headed one in just before the half. This wasn't just any goal. It was his 100th in the league, a massive, massive moment for him, happening right in the middle of this intense rivalry. And honestly, this quote from a fan just nails it. It perfectly captures that feeling of going from total despair to pure joy in the final minutes of a game. That's the raw emotion we're talking about. That's what turns a regular match into something you'll remember forever. Now this is where the plot really thickens. Let's talk about the players who've actually played for both clubs. I mean, the rivalry on the pitch is one thing, but these shared connections, they add a whole other layer to the story. I mean, just take a look at some of these guys. Paul Ince, who we just saw score that goal for Wolves, he actually started his career at West Ham. And more recently, you have a guy like Craig Dawson, an absolute rock at the back, who was a fan favorite at West Ham before making the move over to Wolves. It makes things complicated, you know? It adds this extra bit of spice every single time they play. All right, let's fast forward to today, because now the rivalry has really evolved. It's less about settling old scores and a lot more about this fascinating tactical chess match between two completely different ways of playing football. So to really understand the modern matchup, you have to know this one term, counter-attacking football. It's pretty much become West Ham's identity, and they are masters of it. Think of it like a boxer soaking up punches, just waiting for that perfect moment to land a knockout blow when the other guy is off balance. And when you put their styles side by side, it's like night and day. Wolves, they often like to play a 3-4-3. They're patient, they want the ball. West Ham, on the other hand, they're totally comfortable in a 4-2-3-1, happy to sit back, defend deep, and then just explode forward on the break. It's the classic battle, possession versus the counterpunch. So in this whole tactical puzzle, who's the one piece that can change everything? Well, a lot of the time, it comes down to this guy, Jarrod Bowen. He's the top scorer in this fixture, and that signature diagonal run he makes from the right wing, it is the perfect weapon to expose the space that Wolves' system can sometimes leave open. He's the problem Wolves have to solve. So we've seen it all, right? 100 years of history, incredible games, shared heroes, and now this modern clash of styles. It all leaves us with one final question to think about. Is it possible that the heart of this old rivalry isn't in the history books anymore, but it's happening right there on the tactics board?